TigerData is building a new standard for data infrastructure. Here to explain exactly what that means, Ajay Kulkarni, the CEO of TigerData. So first, tell me about you. Tell me about yourself, your background, and how did you get to...
First of all, Jane, thank you for having me. So CEO, co-founder of TigerData. We're building the next generation database for AI agents. I've been in love with the magic and power of technology since probably high school when I first used the internet in 1996. It's also, I studied computer science at MIT where I met my co-founder. I started a company in the communication space and then we ended up starting TigerData 10 years ago. And it's been a fascinating ride.
I'm sure. So now tell me about TigerData and what you're doing with agentic AI, right? Okay, so explain that and what agentic AI is and what you're doing.
So we started 10 years ago as a company called Timescale, almost 10 years ago. And back then we saw a new wave of things using databases called machines, like Internet of Things, IoT, connected devices. And what we realized is that the needs of machines were different than the needs of humans. And we're seeing that same movie play out today with AI agents. AI agents are a new user of databases. They consume data like humans, but they generate data like machines. In fact, there's more of them than machines because they're not physically constrained. And so what we found is that data infrastructure continues to evolve. AI agents are a new kind of actor acting on the data, and they have a new set of needs, and that's what we're solving at TigerData.
Agents really they do tasks for you, right?
Yeah.
Like versus say the conversational, chat GPT, the agents actually, you could put them to work and they make you more productive.
You can, and I think that's what's fascinating about AI is people often talk about humans versus AI, and we definitely see the symbiotic relationship. Especially in the developer world, developers, coding with AI are 10x more efficient and they still have work to do, but they can get more done. And what we found is by serving developers and by serving AI agents, we can actually help serve the next wave of computing.
So what industries are adopting TigerData the fastest? Why do you think that is? What industries are particularly suited?
It's been a really, really interesting set of trends. The first trend we saw was the rise of IoT and connected devices. So anything industrial, sensor data, manufacturing, energy, oil and gas, shipping, logistics, transportation, automotive, that whole area. Maybe in the past 5 years, we saw the rise of crypto and Web3. Very different set of industries, DeFi, kind of decentralized finance, but also have a ton of data. And now we're seeing another trend in AI with developer tools. So as developers are kind of building the future, we build the tools, we build for the companies who build the tools for developers. So I'd say those three areas, IoT, crypto, and dev tools. And I think what's fascinating is that they're so different, yet their needs are all the same.
Very interesting. Now, the managed database market is very competitive. Yeah. There are a lot of players in it right now. Where does TigerData fit into that whole database landscape?
Yeah, it's a very crowded market. I think what is interesting is despite it being it's been crowded for a long time, but we still have companies like Oracle, Snowflake, Databricks, MongoDB. There's still a lot of big players in this space, and it really speaks to, I think, the breadth of the problems that data infrastructure companies are solving. What set us apart has been, number one, our embrace of a technology called Postgres, which is this 30-year-old database technology, but which has had a resurgence in the past 5 years as developers have flocked back to it for a variety of reasons, including reliability, versatility, and extensibility. So number one has been Postgres. Number two has been really our focus on performance and speed and ergonomics. First developer ergonomics and now agentic ergonomics.
Interesting. Yeah. And there have been some acquisitions in this space as well. So, and I guess in the Postgres world also that has played it. What are your takeaways about those acquisitions? What kind of deals are being done?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Databricks bought a company earlier this year. Snowflake's then soon bought another company. We hear about some other acquisitions potentially happening in the Postgres space. What this says to us is that this technology that's 30 years old, which really has no business being, innovative and, modern, is the fact that it's still around and it's still become this developer standard. I think it says a lot to us about kind of the power of the Postgres platform and the fact that today developers have truly embraced it as a standard. And in fact, today we see Postgres used for a variety of use cases. Really, I think edging out, elbowing out other database options.
Okay. Now, I have never heard of Postgres now. So explain what it is. Like, what are the applications?
Yeah. So Postgres was officially launched in the early 90s. Pre-internet, I mean, kind of pre-internet, one of the first open source databases, along with MySQL back then. And what has made it so special, number one, it's, 30 years, it's completely reliable. So
Cody or
it's, when a technology's been used for 30 years, essentially all the skeletons are out of the closet. Essentially all the corner cases have been found. The New York Stock Exchange, runs Postgres, actually runs a version of our software as well. But number two has been its versatility. And number three, the extensibility. So I think what Postgres has enabled is for other companies to build on top of it in a way that allows folks to kind of modernize it. And so that's what we've done with first IoT, crypto, and now with agentic AI. Companies like Amazon have done this. Microsoft has done this. So it's really this fascinating technology that I like to joke, could have a better name, but
it's really computers.
My parents are always like, hey, what is this Postgres thing you keep talking about? I'm like, it's, yeah, but developers love it.
Why would someone choose something besides Postgres?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think lately the answer is kind of shrank. The number of reasons why you'd not choose Postgres has shrunk. There are always some specialized use cases where you might need something bespoke, something is more specialized. But one thing we found is that as Postgres continues to grow, as it continues to get adopted, of course, the Databricks and stuff like acquisitions are an example of that. We're an example of that, modernizing Postgres. MongoDB has Postgres questions on their analyst calls. The fact that Postgres has had this resurgence, I think, means that you should generally start with Postgres and then see if and when it breaks, and then adopt something different. But there are always some specialized use cases that where you might need something a little bit more specific.
Now, for what you told us, TigerData has deep roots and expertise in time series use cases. So how is your team leveraging that expertise to solve the problems that we see today?
Yeah, so time series data is where where you started, as you said. It's data collected kind of in time, kind of like stock market data as an example, machine data, crypto data. And that's where we started because that was kind of the need we saw. And the interesting thing about time series data is that it's a really high velocity and really high volumes of data. So it kind of forced us from early on to get really good at performance and ergonomics at the same time. And that is the same thing that we're taking to now agentic AI.
And then, so what new problems have emerged as you see AI come about? I'm sure there's been a whole slew of them.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like AI agents, for example, developers coding with Claude Code, for example, in some ways they're like humans, they're like us, but in some ways they're different. So how are they similar? They communicate, but while we may communicate through kind of graphical interfaces, they communicate through programmatic interfaces. So like more APIs or something called MCP. When developers use a database, they might, store data and retrieve data. For agents, it's more about storing memory and searching through memories. So there's some interesting analogies with humans. One place in particular where agents are different is that, we're physically constrained. Agents, you can essentially multiply, infinitely, depending on how much you want to spend on your Anthropic or OpenAI bill. And as a result, agents need a type of infrastructure that's easily parallelizable, but also that you could easily sandbox. Because again, agents, you want to run experiments, but there's some things can go wrong. And so the place where we really, we offer modern interfaces, we offer memory and search, but what really innovated is this thing we call Tiger Storage, which is a next generation infrastructure for kind of these parallelizable ways that agents interact, but in a way where you can sandbox them to kind of protect your production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And then you mentioned that the primary user of the database going are humans to machines, models to agents. So that's what you're seeing, and that's the trend that you're seeing.
That's right. Yeah, humans, machines, and agents. And I think one thing we've seen in the past 30, 40 years is that data volumes keep increasing, and that trend is only going to continue. And AI agents is just the next wave. And we might be in here again in 10 years talking about the next thing.
My goodness, what will that be? That will be amazing. So how's your team thinking about solving some of these troubles with the infrastructure.
Yeah. We really think from first principles. So we first think from what do the agents need? But we're big fans of practical solutions. So instead of reinventing the wheel like a lot of other database companies do, a lot of the NoSQL database companies have done, what we do is we take the thing that's tried and true, Postgres, and then we innovate on it for agents. So what we've built is we've innovated inside the database and also around and under the database. So this next generation infrastructure that I talked about lives under the Postgres database and allows for a type of behavior that people thought wasn't possible, but you're still using kind of standard Postgres.
Yeah, and then clearly Postgres is important to TigerData story. So how does it fit into the solutions that you're building as well?
Yeah, so we serve developers at companies who are building these kind of next generation applications, which might be in industrial, energy, oil and gas, transportation, logistics, automotive, manufacturing. It might be in Web3 and crypto. It might be dev tools. And what these developers want is they want a database that does what they need it to do, and they don't have to think about it. I often talk about databases like your internet, like your Wi-Fi. If you have to think about your Wi-Fi, something's broken, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to think. So you want your database to be rock solid and fast. If your application is loaded, you don't want your database to be the bottleneck. But what's happened is that as data volumes have increased in all these different areas for all these trends we just talked about, and as data access patterns have gotten more complex, you need that database to do more behind the scenes. And so that's really where we've come in, where Postgres provides this bedrock foundation for liabilities, so you have to worry about it. But then we extend it in a way that allows you to get the type of performance and ergonomics that you really need.
Yeah. Okay. So predictions. Yeah. Here to see things going in the next 12 to 18 months. How are you planning for the future?
I think the crazy thing about, I've been in tech for decades. You've been doing this for a while, I believe. The craziest thing about tech today is that roadmaps are measured in months, not years, not quarters, not years, months. And you have large public companies whose AI roadmap goes out 3 months. Why? Because you don't know what the world's going to look like 3 months from now. So one trend is that the world will keep innovating. Things will continue to change. There's a lot of AI hype right now, but I think it's real. One trend we're seeing right now, we'll see more of, is that agents is serving as this almost like an assistant to people. So we see this in development. People who are developing with agents allowed to be more productive. That's one trend we see. Another trend we see is that agents are increasingly becoming the primary users of software. So instead of you using maybe like a CRM tool or a SaaS tool, the agent will do the thing for you, which I think is going to lead to what we call the great unbundling of SaaS. And the third trend we see is as these things happen, the role of data and data infrastructure is only going to rise and become more important, because as soon as we get out of the way and agents become the main user, like a lot of the UI that's built around data infrastructure becomes less important. It's more about the infrastructure itself.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely fascinating to watch all this develop. So AJ, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.